We decided this. Okay,
Okay.
all right. Welcome, everybody, to the floral processing and presentation class. I'm very happy to introduce Beth Kraznowski. Beth is an avid flower and vegetable gardener. Before moving to Arizona, she was a florist for 26 years. And part of that time, she was responsible for 2 large greenhouses. Beth took those experiences and started a business as a wedding and event florist. And since 2013 has been here in Arizona trying to figure out our soils and climate to replicate some of what she was able to do in Cape Cod. So, so many of the flowers that she has here, if not all of them, are things she's grown in her garden, and she's going to show us how to present them and also include information for any of those of you who are interested in submitting something to the Yavapai County Fair. Helping her today is Trish Paul. She and Beth were both in the Master Gardener class of 2019. So take it away.
Well, it's so nice to see so many nice bright faces this morning. And I'm just going to start out with a few things. You want everything to be clean. Your knife, have a nice sharp knife, like this is a Swiss Army knife. I have it's ancient, but it's a sharpener. And every time I arrange, I try to sharpen everything. So if you have a clean knife that is very well sharpened, it makes it a lot easier to do everything. And when you go out to your gardens to cut flowers, you want to do it first thing in the morning. When the water is up into the stems of your flowers, you always have clean buckets that have been bleached with warm water. Never use cold or hot. If you put your hand in the bucket and it feels good, or into whatever, you're fine. If you have cold water, what do? You go like this. And if you have nice warm water, you kind of go, the flowers are no different. You take preservative and you put it in buckets. If you can get something like this, fine. If not, a couple of drops of bleach will work. Basically, you want your water to be clear of that bacteria, because bacteria is what kills your flowers. So, and you want to cut your stems at an angle. So, and always with a knife, except for maybe the exception is real woody stems, and you can do that in sharp pruners. But unless it's a really hard woody stem, let me show you. You can cut your rosemary with clippers, but then you get instead of cutting it at an angle, you smash it with a hammer. And then, because the water goes up the area because it's a woody stem, it goes up better. You want your water to basically go up the stems of yours. As I say, you put water preservatives. You always do this the day before. You want the water to get up your flowers, and then you put your flowers that you've cut into your nice clean buckets with preservative and bleach into a cool, dry place. Fortunately, I have a little air conditioned room, but you can do it in a cool garage or a refrigerator that's in your garage that doesn't have fruit. You don't want fruit or vegetables because it emits ethylene gas and it will kill your flowers like that. When I was doing wedding work, they'd say to me, "Oh, we'll put them in the cooler for you," and I go, "No, that's okay." So it's basically you want to get your flowers the best start as possible. And after they've been in the cooler or the refrigerator or a cool garage. The next morning, when you want to arrange your flowers, you check everything over. Make sure that everything has made it through the night, and what you haven't done, you'll have had a learning experience that knows what doesn't work. Like Trish and I cut yesterday, and there was certain things we didn't really think that would work, and they did. And one of them was this little guy that Trish has in her yard, never used it before. It's holding up great.
It's also a weed. With a woody stem.
Another really great one is your ladybag's roses. There's no thorns in them. You can use it, for a green. The Texas sage holds up really well. So this experiment with what you have, and that's why it's best to do it early in the morning, the previous morning, so you know what you're working with that day. And except Eugenias. These are a world on their own. Even when I bought them in Flower Market, they always came in water, in a tub. And you never keep your zinnias out of water, and you don't really cool them that much. And they're one of the few exceptions to the rule. They're so pretty, but they're a very delicate summer flower. So I went out this morning at sunrise and picked zinnias, and they're holding up pretty good. So, but always keep your zinnias in water. If you want the flower foam, which I'm not going to show you today, never use zinnias because it clogs up the stems. A lot of things don't like flower foam. But so as I say, you go and you pick your flowers and see what you like, and do fun things like grasses. Doesn't always have to be flowers. It can be grasses or pods. Now these are echinacea that the birds rip the petals off, and they're a fun thing to stick into an arrangement. So kind of outside the box of with doing things. And I'm always I personally, as a designer, I'm a huge advocate of greens and different color greens. And I always start out my arrangements with greens, and then we go from there. And I am going to show you how we get started. Clean vase that has been bleached. And you just fill the water away almost to the top. And here it goes. And one of the reasons I'm using this vase, it's got a flare. It's so much easier to learn how to do with a flare. And I'll show you as I'm going why the flare is.
Do you suggest we clean our vases after we're done with them, so they're prepped for next time?
Wash them out with water and bleach, soap and water and bleach.
Okay.
But even if you store them, they're going to get dust and things in them.
Well, yes, I understand that, but sometimes that scum gets on the.
Yeah, bleach will kill that.
Okay.
Or even like a brush, like a baby bottle brush. I've used
Okay.
those in the past.
Thank you.
Okay, preservative or bleach to start off with. And I always use my knife. Probably not the best thing to do, but I do. At least it's clean. Okay, now we're going to start to build our arrangement. And as I say, I always start out with greens, and odd numbers are always best. 3s, 5s, anything like that. And you want to take the leaves off up as far as you can, because you don't want leaves in your water. You just want your stem. and you cut it at an angle. And you just start from one side and just take your leaves off, cut it at an angle. And you start from this side,
So you always recut even though they've been
I
in
do,
the
yeah.
water?
always recut. Sometimes you cut twice during making an arrangement. You don't want things like that hanging down. You want clean cuts. You want to cut like that. And you kind of do that. Yeah.
What are those greens?
Trish, out of Trish's yard, there's a weed.
I have no idea what they are. They're a weed.
Really?
The bird love the berries that they put on in the fall, but if you really aren't careful with it, it'll take over. So I have a very contained area of it for this purpose.
Okay, so we kind of got the low section done. And everything's coming out. We want something with a little bit more height. So the sage should do it. Maybe some, yeah, this might do it. On vases, so you want to do 1.5 times. You want to get, that's pretty how you kind of want to have it. That's a rule, but rules are made to be broken. So alrighty. And then you just kind of do 3s on each side too.
We don't have 3 of
Oh,
those.
well, that's okay. We have the sage. And
Oh, there's the other one. Great.
okay, good. And see, like this, these little guys, you just strip them down and recut.
And you're crisscrossing the stems. You're
Right. Mhm.
down when we do it.
You kind of start, you go this way and this way and this way and this way, and then you build it up. This gives you your base, so you can start to stick stuff in, and then you can work out. So the greens give you a place to hold your flower. It's like when you go to the grocery store or the, you know, any place that sells bunches of flowers, they just give you flowers and one green. Well, it's really hard to arrange flowers that way. You know, it's, if you don't have a base, you know, it's, and I know people get very frustrated with vase arrangements, with that kind of thing. But if you learn how to do this, you can use minimal amount of flowers. And most everybody has some kind of green in their yard. Where that?
I don't think so.
No, oh yeah, we do. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I see some more.
Yeah.
How many stems do you want?
I think I got.
You got that?
I think I got it. Now this is Lady Banks rose that's taking over my yard. But this gives you height. I don't know if you can see. Something up here or up there. You know, you can use odd numbers of those. Kind of gives you some height and movement. Movement is always nice in arrangements. Really good arrangements always have a movement or flair or something. Try to find something that's small and easy to work with in your gardens. And play with it. You don't have to put it in the right spot at the first time. Yeah, just give me another one. Do it in the back. Super. Oh.
Beth, could I ask you to move that red vase that you
I
have?
can do it.
the-
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I can do that.
All right, I'll put it back here.
Thank you.
And we have time. I'm going to show you how to do this one. These are hard to work with.
Yeah.
They're not even fun for professionals.
Beth had a home accident this morning. Her husband ran over the vases we were gonna use. So we had to improvise.
Okay, we're gonna take some of these guys because they're big. And
The shrink.
yeah, good guys now. Okay. And sunflowers, you have to see how well they're gonna just sit in the vase. So see, that's a fairly good height you want it to be, so.
Are sunflowers considered woody stems, so you need
No.
to smash them?
No. The only thing that's really, as far as flowers are concerned, that we used to smash in the flower show I was working, are things like stock. Stock for some reason you always had to smash the stems to get the water up, but no, we never did. We used, we just cut them at an angle.
Lilacs.
Well, lilacs are woody, yeah. When I started arranging with lilacs, I usually cut them with a knife, but when I was processing them, cutting them in the vases and getting them chilled off, yeah, I would smash them. It depended on the stem.
Do lilacs hold up well in arrangements? I was gonna say.
They can be temperamental.
They hold up in New England.
Yeah, well, yeah, I did one wedding one year and the whole thing was lilacs and it was a huge wedding. I stripped everybody's plants from the town. Yeah, and it was one gal had, remember those, I don't know if anybody knows about the deep magenta ones that are, they're almost deep. There was one gal had them and she let me take some and I was very happy. Okay, so you can kind of see if you have a the base, stuff like this will stick. Can we have one with a longer stem maybe?
Do you next class on first aid for cutting yourself and sharpening it?
Actually, in all the years that I had like 5 people working for me at certain points in time, and I don't think anybody ever really got cut. I really don't think that I can remember everybody getting
You're
hurt.
taller.
Taller, and that's not a good one.
Okay. Nope, you're right. This was a double. And this is some pretty,
Oh, that's kind of
that's a
fun.
pretty one.
You can use something like that. It doesn't have to be full blown, Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. That one might go in front.
This one's a little
front. And it's out of habit, but I always check my flowers before I put them in to make sure that they're in good shape.
And no bugs.
Bugs, well, but always check as you go, because if you're doing wedding work, everybody checks everything. And when I worked in the flower shop, the lady that I worked with, he said the church ladies always would count and check all the petals. So you kind of always made sure everything went out in good shape. Oh yeah, church ladies would, they do exist.
You have to know your audience, huh? Is that what you're telling us?
Oh, well, let's see.
This one is the
Well,
best.
how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, that will work.
Okay.
That will work. Okay, so let's see. We'll put some zinnias in. We'll start with zinnias. Now zinnias arrange like everything else once you get them processed and keep them in the water. You just have to make sure that they're in water. any of this, you have to make sure it's in order. You cut them at an angle and just start to work them around the edges.
You want all shapes of the same or different?
Yeah, whatever,
Whatever has a long enough stem.
yeah.
What is your best approach for transporting an arrangement that you made for a friend, they're sick or something, in your vehicle?
I use buckets. You get a bucket, tallest bucket as you can. You put your arrangement around it. Pool noodles are great. You could stuff them, the vases with pool noodles inside the buckets, and they won't move. If you don't have pool noodles, you can put some bricks around the bottom of it and then just stuff it with paper or plastic or anything.
So it
That way you
doesn't
don't want
shift.
it to shift. Cool. That's usually the easiest way to do it.
This one has a little bit of a flaw on top.
Oh, no,
It's okay.
no, that's good. Just open it up.
Beth, how do you handle insects on your flowers when you process them the first day when you harvest?
I try before I put them in to my buckets to check for insects. It's funny,
You
down in
just shake
Congress, I don't have, not like back east. I mean, I don't have a lot of, I have aphids on my roses, and that's pretty much what I have. Japanese beetles love zinnias back east, but I've never had a problem with the zinnias at all. So I just check it before you put it in. And if it's really bad, just take it over the sink with a sprayer and just spray them off. That's not going to hurt your flowers, really. See, I think the front is not getting as much as the back because I can't see.
That's red.
Yeah,
You sometimes turn your vases around so they're facing you.
I usually have them on a pedestal. I'm on a turntable.
Ah,
Yeah, that's how I usually do it. But I don't have a turntable. I sold everything when I came out here, so my turntable went to the lady that bought all my stuff, so. You know, you can get,
Rubbermaid, spice.
Yeah,
thing,
exactly.
That'll, or a Wilton cake
yeah,
pedestal.
Yeah.
or you can constantly turn.
Yeah.
It's just like.
Do you have any rules on color balance?
Depends on what you want. This is garden, so. I think all bets are off when you do garden flowers. It's what's in your garden and what's pleasing to your eye. Certain, if you want to do yellows and whites, you want to do all whites with lots of pretty green. I used to do a lot of that kind of thing, all white flowers with all kinds of greens, but it depends on what people want, depends on what people have ordered. As far as my business is concerned, if you're going out in your garden and if you have a lot of one thing, just use all of it. It's just it's up to interpretation too. I mean, it's if you're going out into the garden, it's really what looks best that day, the day you cut. So, okay, so let me see. We're gonna, that's kind of with your flowers and your zinnias. And now I'm kind of fill in with other things. Now, this is one of my favorite things. It's called Love Lies Bleeding. You probably know that, being master gardeners. And I love the color. You have to check these if you're going to use them. The leaves tend to curl a little bit, so I just tended to pinch off all of that as we go. Take the flower off. This is kind of a curly stem. You want to do it like up here, because you're gonna have trouble fitting into your vase. So just kind of shove it down in there. And it kind of gives you a little bit of drape.
Love.
Love lies bleeding. It's an amaranth, actually.
Yeah.
I have to watch, I have to cage this like crazy because the pigs love it, the javelina love it. Because it's a, they make, some countries make breads
Oh,
and,
amaranth, yeah.
yeah,
Amaranth.
Flower.
yeah, it's, yeah.
But really, the reason you grow it's for this, not that.
Not to feed the javelina.
Where do you get the packets of, that you put in?
The preservative,
Hobby Lobby has it.
Holly Lobby has it. You can order it up online.
Oh,
Go, you know, if you can go into, you know, the flower shops around, they might sell you some, but if you can't get it, just use a little bit of bleach. Or, you know, even a little bit of bleach and maybe a tad of sugar, because it's, to get some of the, you know, things, nourishment, your flowers nourishment, what I'm trying to get out of my mouth. And,
There's an old wives' tale that you use Sprite,
I've never heard of that and I've never done it.
and
So,
because of the carbonation, it goes up the, you know, in the stems.
Yeah, but that'd be air bubbles. And
yeah,
that's what you don't want in your stems.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I-
Yeah.
It's carbon
Anybody else?
unless it would
dioxide.
be,
Carbon
you know,
dioxide.
flat.
Oh.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
I've always heard, that, you know, just a little bit of bleach and or a little bit of sugar, or I just usually use bleach. I mean,
Oh, some people say aspirin.
And
Or
years ago.
aspirin, Susan reminded
Yeah.
me.
I've never used aspirin either. So I,
It seems to salicylic acid.
well, you know, you might try it. Have it do a test, have one arrangement with aspirin and one arrangement without it and see how long it works.
Asparagus.
It's not asparagus.
I'm gonna try some of this.
Yeah.
Prickles on it.
So,
Asparagus.
Now, Trish and I pull this out of our gardens and that's what the hummus love it, and it's a firecracker plant, right?
No, you don't.
Sylvia.
No, this is that's the firecracker.
Okay.
plant. This is the,
is it lipstick?
no, guys, it's a very common thing down where we are. It looks like broom, but the hummingbirds love it. It's called coral bush is the common name. Coral. What is the common name on this? I can never, I always give this to people and I can never remember the name.
But it makes a good filler.
Yeah, and the hummingbirds, the butterflies just love it. Has a
So when
long-
you've kind of gotten all your big flowers in, like your zinnias and your sunflowers and everything, your greens, and you've got it pretty much positioned the way you want, you know, you're gonna play with things. But this kind of stuff is a filler flower, like baby's breath or that kind of thing. I hate baby's breath.
I'll find this for us on here, guys.
But you know, you need something to kind of, as I said before, give your arrangements a little movement. I don't like baby's breath because it smells. You know, it smells like cat.
Yeah.
It does, yeah. We get fresh boxes out of market, and if it was really fresh, you could smell it everywhere. I've had people, when we sent stuff out, say that something smells. And it was the baby's breath.
Wonderful.
I was gonna, any more of this? Yeah. No, that's,
I've got quite a bit of it around, and you've got salvia.
I just wanted to do another one. That's okay. Here we go. And I know it looks like sometimes I'm being really hard on my product, but it's better to do that than have stems in your water. So let's see.
That I can't find it right now.
You should be able to take one of those phones and scan
Take
it
a
on
picture
there.
of it.
And
You
then it
should be
tells
able
you.
to. You should be able to.
Anybody have one of those on their phone?
That would not be
Susan.
me.
Susan does. She has the
That's
app.
good. It does look like broom. I mean, until it blossoms, and it's covered with blooms for about 7 or 8 months out of the year. So it's a wonderful plant.
Your audience participant
That's good.
will bring her camera up there and
Take a picture. We need help. I can.
Let me make sure you can use it.
Coral fountain grass. That's it.
You have to pay
And
for it, but there's a 3-day
It's
fee.
coral
She-
fountain
She
grass,
found it.
but its species is Equisetiformis, and I can never say that, especially with an Oklahoma accent. They never,
That and the New England accent.
Yeah, I know.
So it's
A real
it's-
Boston accent.
Yeah, and it commonly called cracker plant, but so many things are called
Oh,
firecracker plant because so
She
is
said it was
hoopia,
this.
so are a lot of things. That's coral fountain grass. I don't know why that's hard for me to remember.
Now, at this point in the game, I kind of stand back and look at my arrangement from the back and the side. And then especially the front, depending where you're gonna put it, if you're gonna put it in a big table, you want all sides to be pleasing to the eye. So I kind of see a hole here that I think maybe something pretty would go into. And this is where this kind of stuff comes in.
That one's pretty woody.
Yeah, it's not too bad though, not too bad. And that kind of gives you a little height. I don't like the two. I'll stick this guy on.
Seed pods.
And
With the salmon colored flowers, and I have some that have the pods on them.
I mean, there's so many cool and different pods in your gardens that, you know,
Rose hips make beautiful arrangements.
yeah.
So don't get carried away with trimming your roses until they've actually formed hips, because they're beautiful and arranged. Beth has great success with roses. I'm sure you all do too, up here.
Except for the aphids.
Really.
Yeah, I know the aphids, so not. Okay, so right now I'm fairly happy with this. I might put another one of these this way, because I have a long tendril this way. Kind of want to keep it symmetrical, unless you're trying to do a different style, like ikebana or something like this, but this is pretty. See, I feel like I have a little bit of a space here. I just might put in another zinnia to fill it up.
And if you stand back and look at it, it looks different.
Trouble.
And if you stand back, as Trish said, you know, yeah, stand back and look at things. I used to stand, you know, with really big pieces, you have to stand way back. But also put it on your table and spin, you know, and you're gonna put it on the center of the table. But that's basically your garden variety arrangement cut out of your gardens. And if you wanna, maybe Trish can take it up and down the aisles and show it to people and they can get a better idea of how it looks.
May we take a picture of it?
Oh,
When you stand back from it,
No
you
problem.
see where there's holes in the.
And I'm just gonna do a quick demonstration, because I know if you get flowers on a regular basis, a lot of flowers come in cubes or round, and they're very hard to design, even for flowers. So what I have done is I gridded the top with tape. I had floral tape, but if you've got waterproof Scotch tape or any kind of tape, you know, like Band-Aid type of tape, it does give you something to hold your flowers in. Otherwise, you don't.
Susan.
So I'm gonna show you how to green one of these up and stick a few flowers in it, and then give you an idea how to go about that. As I said, that kind of a vase is so much easier to arrange it. So I went out and I have lemon trees in my yard, and this is new growth, and I didn't think it was gonna hold up, and it did. So I don't know if you guys, I think I'm at the cusp of having any kind of citrus trees, but I think this is out of your yard.
That's the upright.
Yeah, a little bit of woody stem, but I don't think you need to smash it. I never have. And then you kind of start in the middle and working up in between your tape. It's more. You use a lot more greens in an arrangement like this. So you can get your base for your flowers to be arranged in. As I said before, you need something to hold your flowers. And just use all your little bits and pieces too. I used to do farmers markets sometimes, and I always used to get little teacups. We used to call the East Ham Stock Exchange. It was at the transfer station. People would put things in, and I get mugs and little cups and things like that. Save all your end pieces. They make great little arrangements. You don't need much. I had a lot of ladies that would come B&Bs, put it by their beds, you know, and I could do them reasonably because it was all end pieces and containers that I had gotten out of the exchange. Okay. I'm just going to kind of do this quick so you can get an idea.
What is that one?
This is fine. This is Kufia. Okay.
Fire, it's also called firecracker.
Firecracker.
There are a lot of things are called that. But it's nice to know the botanical name.
The hummers love it.
Yeah, they do.
They do love it.
Cigar plant is a common name for that also.
Cigar.
Because it looks like little bitty.
Okay, that's another one. It's okay. You get lots of other stuff. Because I think at the county fair, you have to do glass faces for your.
No,
flower.
we provide the glass.
That's what I mean. You have to provide them.
Yeah, you could just bring them in a bucket of water, but we don't take anyone's vases.
And what kind of
Unless
vase?
they're an arrangement, if somebody's doing an arrangement.
Mhm. Were they different kinds of vases, or are they all the same?
No, I have an extensive variety. I
Yeah.
have little tiny ones, the stem glasses, big ones, medium, you name it, I have.
So you're supposed to do your arrangement at the location?
Well, and that's the category well, there's a couple categories where there's exceptions. In the houseplant category, if you do have a potted plant, the thing is, we don't want somebody to bring something in and then if they don't come back for it and
Oh, yeah.
to be responsible for it, but, the pickup is on Sunday evening, like starting at 5.
So, everybody's responsible for their own arrangement to come in daily and check.
No, the people that are working the fair,
Mhm.
in the morning, we pull the roses out of the cooler, we put them in cooler for the night, and then we top off all the vases, make sure they got
They have
fresh water.
water. Now, do they have preservative in it?
So you're not responsible for,
So you're just pretty much responsible for your plant material, and then you arrange it in the vase, and then,
Well, most of the categories are just single cut flowers.
okay.
But we do have the category that is for arrangements, and like I said, for that, if the arrangement is in that specific vase or something, they could bring it in there, but they need to know that they need to be back to pick it up. 'Cause-
So, but if you do the single plant, flower,
Yeah,
it would,
steps.
yeah, it'd be good to know how to go out and process it and then, arrange it when you get there. Yeah, okay, that's good.
So I think if it's a single flower, you're not arranging it because she's got the base.
That's what I mean. It's, you
It's
put,
put in the vase,
yeah, but to process it like the day before, but so it will last during the fair.
Yeah.
All right, I want to use some of this stuff. This was out of Trisha's garden, and I thought that was fun.
yeah.
And it holds up.
I do know the name of it. What is it? It's a woolly butterfly bush, and it forms those orange balls when it's in bloom. They're not very showy, but the foliage is beautiful, and the little balls make great flower arrangements. That's really what you grow it for, and the birds love it.
Now, this is pretty woody. I just cut it, but if you're not comfortable cutting it, I think you could do this with trimmers and then smash the stem.
That's
I've
really
just
fun.
used a knife for so many years, it doesn't bother me, but I can see where some people might get a little.
That's why I have a nurse down the street.
That's a good idea.
Very good.
Susan.
Take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning.
Right.
I'm not as adept with a knife as Beth is either. I have very sharp garden scissors that I sterilize and make sure they're sharp and clip with. I would be in the emergency room if I was doing what she's doing.
I guess
You just done it and you're
I've
good
just
at
done
it.
it for so long,
Yeah.
it's like second nature, but. I'm just gonna do this all greens. So you can see what can be done with all greens
And some pods.
and some pods and some different things, so. If you don't have a lot of flowers in your garden at the moment, you can go and do something like this. And let's just say, I'm a green advocate, I love different greens. I used to go up to the Boston Flower Exchange, which was 27 vendors. It was larger than a football field. And every vendor has different greens, and I used to have so much fun doing that. Okay.
Now we know what to do.
So we need some.
When your neighbor comes down and turns.
It's pretty.
So when you buy stuff at the Boston Flower Mart, those flowers hopefully have been processed.
No, they come and cut dry. They come,
Whoa.
either they're coming in from South America. Most all of that stuff comes in big boxes. Holland, South America, Miami. It's all cut dry in the fields. few exceptions, zinnias, dahlias maybe, but they're all dried, cut dried, and that's why processing is so important. Because when you have dry stems and have not had water for say 24 to 30 hours, they've been in planes coming in from all over the world, that you have to get your flowers processed. And sometimes some things we had to do 2 days ahead of time, just to make sure that they would hold up. Most people don't realize that when it's coming in from overseas or the fields, everything's cut dry. They don't have time. When you're cutting thousands of acres of whatever, they just cut them dry, except for zinnias, and most zinnias are locally grown. All the zinnias I would buy were done by local farmers in the area, because they don't transport well either.
What about tulips that you get in the spring, the amount of tulips? Stuff that's flowering, how does that get cut dry? Does that still last?
Oh, yeah, most of your tulips are coming in from Holland anyway. And they don't, they're coming on a huge KLM planes, loaded. Because they'll make a stop in Boston, they make a stop in New York, they make a stop in Atlanta, all over the country. One time I did a wedding and was all Gerber daisies, and my man in Boston came out very sheepishly and said, "We got a problem, Beth." And I said, "What?" And he said, all your Gerber daisies are in Chicago. So they got them down to me, fortunately. But it's it's a huge business. It's a worldwide business.
Yeah.
A lot of things are locally grown, but most everything nowadays aren't. When I was a little girl, my mother's friend was a florist, and they also had greenhouses back in the 50s and 60s where things were locally grown. And it was one of my jobs as a kid was to water the greenhouses. But you can't afford, with the price of fuel, they couldn't keep doing that. Anybody else have any other questions about anything while I'm up here playing?
If now we buy a bouquet at, say, the grocery store, what is the best way when you take them home? What would be the best way to take care of them, to have them last?
The best way would be to get them home, get a nice clean vase or bucket with your preservatives in it, with warm water, and just kind of like what I've been telling you, and arrange them and recut the stems, like roses sometimes, or peonies, things like that. If you cut the stems daily with fresh water, they'll last. You can get roses to last 2 weeks. Peonies too. It's just how you take care of your flowers. If you don't take care of them the way they should be taken care of, they're not going to last. But if you do it like do it the day before, if it comes from the grocery store, like Trader Joe's has good flowers and they take good care of their flowers. Just recut everything when you get it home. Nice, clean, warm water and a lovely clean vase with some. If you get them from the store, they're going to have preservative in it. Usually Trader Joe's flowers has 2 or 3 little packets, and you don't have to use all of it. You can save it for the next time. Little side tendrils are great. You could stick it in, just make sure they're in water.
Is that red yucca?
Yeah, isn't that pretty?
Yeah.
That's from Trisha Shirt.
Are y'all familiar with High Country Gardens at all? Have you ever used them?
Yes.
They're a wonderful source for native plants, and they ship them so well. They're except for your native nursery here in Prescott, Beth and I don't think there's any other native plant source in the state now, which it really
This one
shocked.
is Flagstaff.
Yeah,
You're talking about the one that's on Montezuma?
yes, but it doesn't have a huge variety
No.
at all. It's pretty limited. But High Country Gardens has fabulous plants, and they ship extremely well. Their plants are always really nice. And they're very knowledgeable. If you call them, they're very, very helpful.
Where are they located?
Santa Fe. They have huge plant farm in Santa Fe. It's not open to the public. They do mail order only.
This is willow, out of Trish's yard, and I didn't think it was gonna hold up, and it's doing pretty well. Does it willow? Let's see what else I can stuff in here.
Here's some green that I got down in here.
Birdie River growers too have some data.
They do? That's good.
Who does?
Birdie River grower down in Birdie Valley.
Okay, that's good to know. Whoops, I'm sorry.
That's
That's
okay.
on zinnias.
I'm truly, yeah. Now, this is just the green from the amaranth. And that-
Beth, can you say again what kind of tape you use to do the cross?
Well, I'll show you the tape. This is floral tape, and that's basically what you can use. You can get it at Michael's or any of the hobby shops. Let's see if I have a smaller one. I think I got this at Michael's. And it's, you just would have to put more tape on your vase. A lot of those places have good sources of stuff. Okay. So I just might stick a few of these dahlias in. Somebody had brought in, which are beautiful. I'm doing her arrangement.
So you decided to branch out from
Well-
all green.
Well, I saw those and those are pretty. Best I'm gonna show you, you can do three flowers in there and they look pretty good.
That's a beautiful blend. That's so pretty. Their medallions are gorgeous.
The dahlias are gorgeous. Who grew the dahlias?
They're beautiful. They're beautiful.
Thank you for bringing them in.
It's really pretty.
You know, you don't have to have a ton of flowers. You can just go out and pick greens and oddities out of your garden, and you can use them, you know, for whatever. Any questions? Anybody have anything that they want to know about or that I haven't covered?
We hope we have a lot of blue ribbons.
I have a question about your fuzzy butterfly bush. I have one. How big is yours?
At this height, about 3 feet.
Yeah,
4
I have
feet.
one that I got from Birdie River growers. They have things like that.
Yeah,
And it just, they're slow growing.
yes, they are.
Okay, I just wondered, I won't go out and make bouquet.
But they are so hardy in this
And
climate. I love them.
And as I'm cleaning up my table, I always stick stuff in.
I love that. That looks beautiful.
I
You
do
wanna-
too, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Pass that around, so people can understand, you know, get an idea. Any other questions or
Now,
anything
come
else?
this way first.
I'm gonna go around.
Beautiful demonstration.
Thank you.
That's beautiful, those big flowers.
Susan and I have different sides.
You can get other pictures. And this behind you. Oh, I'm sorry. That's okay. Just made it.
Pretty, all the colors and
Living artists.
Thank you so much.
Sometimes they have.